Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be, the show of life, the show of Mezcal, the show of film premieres, the show of South by Southwest, and so much more. It's my pleasure to finally bring this conversation to you. Over a year and a half ago, I think maybe 2 South by Southwest ago, when Agave, Spirit of a Nation, premiered during the film festival. I got to sit down and chat with Graciela Angeles Carreño from Real Minero with the amazing translation help of Claudia Duarte, and it was a great conversation. Things have changed profoundly since then, but you know what? The things we talk about, whether it is sustainability, whether it is about sexual equality in Mezcal, this stuff is just as relevant now as it was then when we recorded. So this was a legendary interview. Took a bit of time to edit, but you know what? It turned out just beautifully. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed this great chat with Graciela from Real Minero. Agave, the Spirit of a Nation, premiered here at South by Southwest this week, this Friday, and we, with a couple of mates, I had the chance to see it last night. Great film, 3 central characters, Carlos Camarena, Graciela, who's with us, and then Acalino. So I thought of one thing, I've seen a lot of premieres at South by Southwest, and I wanted to know how you feel about being a star, someone that is in the spotlight in America, representing Mezcal. How do you feel about being here in town talking about this movie?
Bueno, en principio, pues me siento muy afortunada. Porque
well, to begin with, I feel very fortunate because there's probably 1 million people out there wanting to do something like this. And at the end of the day, it's not what you want. It's something or someone out there who decides who is next and when. So first and foremost, I'm very grateful, but also very proud to be able to represent not just my product, not just my country, but my family, which is what this documentary is about. It's about the families that are dedicated in producing this spirit.
Do you feel any obligation to say certain things or be a certain way since, in a sense, you're a spokesman for your family and Mexico? Is it hard to watch what you say?
Well, in reality, it's not that it's an obligation. It's like, it's a bit complicated to be able to explain this to you, but I didn't decide this. This is something that was given to me. I think that in a way, in how a community is structured and the education I received, there are things in life that you cannot choose. They are simply yours to take on in life. And you don't question it. You just know that it's yours to take on. And sometimes it's a heavy cargo. Because sometimes I feel like getting out and running away, but I can't do that.
Do you think that having an academic background, whereas many of the other people, well, Carlos went to school as well, but Acalino is a man, he's been working his whole life. But does education help being a spokesman? Did it prepare you more to understand the kinds of questions and the kinds of people that you would be talking to?
Bueno, pues justo vengo de una familia que
no es educada. I actually happen to come from an educated family. There's a large gap in the generation. My mother and father didn't even finish elementary school. My mom knows how to read and write. My father knew how to write, amongst a lot of other things,
En
but
el ámbito
he
del
never
que yo vengo,
finished
la
school.
educación nunca fue una prioridad.
In the scope of where I
No, la
come
educación era un
from,
lujo.
education is not a priority.
Primero era la sobrevivencia.
Education was a luxury.
Mi papá o mis
First came
papás,
survival.
que ambos, tanto mi mamá como mi papá,
My dad,
siempre
well,
estuvieron como muy
both of my
preocupados
parents, my
porque
mother
nosotros
as much as my dad,
llegáramos a la
always were
universidad.
very
Esa era
invested
su
in
meta,
getting us into
que nos
college.
preparáramos.
It was their goal to prepare us
Lo
for
que nunca se
college.
imaginó mi papá
What my father never
es que
imagined
justo al mandarnos
was
a la
that we would
universidad
never actually
no nos
leave.
íbamos a ir del pueblo.
It's most common
Lo común es que
for an
estudias y te
individual
vas.
to go off to college and never come back.
Pero al mismo tiempo,
But at
en
the same
particular mi papá nos
time,
inculcó
throughout
mucho el
all
amor
these
por la tierra,
years, my father
¿no? Y un gran
instilled in
orgullo
us
de
the
ser
love for
quienes somos,
our
de venir de
land,
donde venimos y
the great
hacer lo que
pride
hacemos.
of who we are and where we
Y
come
cuando
from
cada uno
and what we do.
tomó la decisión de si se
And when it
quedaba
came to each of
o
us
se iba,
making
casi
the
todos
decision of
decidimos
either
quedarnos.
staying or leaving,
pero no solamente
almost
quedarnos,
all of us chose to stay,
sino
But not just
seguir
stay,
o continuar
but
con la tradición de la familia.
continue with the family's tradition.
How did she feel about, or rather, was she looking forward to going to school, or did she want to stay and help the family instead?
En realidad nunca me fui.
I really never left.
Yo seguí
I
viviendo en
continued
Minas.
to live in Minas.
Yo nací en Minas,
I was born in
literalmente.
Minas,
Nací en casa de
literally.
mis papás con una partera.
I was born in my parents'
Y
house with
crecí toda
the
mi
help of
infancia en
midwife.
Minas.
I
Y
grew
sigo
up in
viviendo en
Minas.
Minas.
I still live in Minas.
Y
And
todos
every
los días
day I
viajaba a
would
la
commute
universidad.
to the university.
Nunca
Back.
viví fuera.
Never really left.
Pero también entre más conocía
Never really
como el
lived out of
exterior, más me gustaba el lugar donde
And then the more I got to know the exterior, the more I loved where I lived.
Mezcal is a product, a conduit to Mexico. It goes all over the world. These drops in these bottles can be found in Europe, in Asia, all over. Do you ever regret not getting out of Mexico, not getting out of Minas, seeing something larger?
busco la manera de conocer el lugar donde están.
I try to
conocer
find a
al
way to get to
consumidor,
know the places where they end up,
tener contacto
right?
con él,
To get to know my
poderle
consumers,
contar,
have
como
contact
un
with
poco de la
them,
historia del
share
por
our
qué está
story
ahí,
and how
cómo se
they
hizo.
ended up there, how it was made.
Me gusta mucho comunicar
I
lo
really-
que hacemos.
I really enjoy
Porque
sharing
creo
what we
que
do.
en la
I
medida
think that
de que
in that
el
measure,
consumidor
the
sepa que el
consumer
producto tiene
realizes
un
that the
alma,
product
¿no? Que
has
no
a
es un
soul,
alcohol y ya,
that it's not
sino
just
que hay una
alcohol
historia
and
atrás
that's
de ese
it,
alcohol y que
but
tiene que ver
it
con
has
una
a story
comunidad, con una
behind
familia,
and
con un
that
sueño,
it involves a
con un deseo.
community, a family, a
Creo que
dream,
la
a
bebida se entiende
desire.
mejor. Entonces,
I think that's how it's best
es algo
understood.
que me gusta hacer.
Something I really enjoy doing.
Right, something much more, a bigger story, a family, something rich and cultural, traditional as well. In the movie last night, you mentioned something about having a rebellious spirit. And sometimes with rebellion, you don't do what your parents ask you to do. So having this spirit and then maybe feeling like you have to work in the family business, did you feel obligated that you had to come back, that you had to carry on the family tradition of mezcal?
Bueno, quiero aclarar algo. Nunca
Well,
nos
to
obligaron a
clarify,
quedarnos.
we were never
O sea,
obligated.
justo era lo
come
contrario,
back.
¿no? Como la idea era
The idea
estudia
was
y vete,
to study and
¿no?
leave.
Porque sigue habiendo la
And
idea
working
de
is
que el campo
Still
es
seen
un
as
trabajo
rough,
rudo y es
full of
sufrimiento,
suffering.
¿no? Nunca es
Never,
gozo,
never
nunca es
joyful,
pasión,
never
nunca es lo que te
passionate.
gusta, ¿no? Era
Never
como la idea
what
de
you
los papás,
enjoy
de los papás de la generación de los míos.
It was the
querían que el hijo
idea
no-
of
que
that
el hijo estudiara
generation
para
of
que no
parents.
tuviera que trabajar.
They wanted their children to
¿no? Como
study
si eso
so
fuera
they
algo
wouldn't
indigno, algo
have to
malo.
work the land.
Pero al mismo
As if
tiempo
that was something
era
unworthy or
observando
bad.
lo que mis
But
papás hacían todos los días.
at the
A qué
same
hora se
time,
levantaban, a qué hora
it was
comían,
observing
la
my
cantidad de trabajo
parents,
que debían realizar para que
what they
nosotros
did every
pudiéramos ir
day.
a la universidad,
what time they would get up,
para tener lo
time they
mínimo
would go to
necesario
sleep,
para vivir.
the amount of
Y nos
hours and
enseñaron
work
que
they
eso era
would
lo
put in
correcto,
for us
trabajar
to
así, a ese
have what we
ritmo, en
needed
esa
and
intensidad,
go to
etcétera.
college.
Me
It
refería a la
was
rebeldía
through this that they
no
taught
de
us
tener que
this
regresar al
was the
pueblo,
right way of living.
sino es
at that rhythm,
únicamente o
that
específicamente la rebeldía de yo como mujer.
The rebellion I was referring
¿no?
to
La
was
obligatoriedad
not really towards
de
my
aprender
parents,
a
but
hacer
more
cosas que en
specifically
un ámbito rural
towards
son exclusivas de
being a
las
woman.
mujeres. cocinar,
the
cuidar
obligation
niños, lavar ropa,
of learning the
para
things
que te
that
cases.
in a rural abbot are
Y nunca estuve
exclusively
de
for
acuerdo con eso.
women.
Entonces,
Cooking,
no aprendí
taking
nada
care of
de eso.
kids,
Digo, lo sé
doing
hacer,
laundry,
pero no lo aprendí en casa.
all for you to be a good wife.
Yeah.
But I was never okay with that. So I didn't learn all of that. Well, I know how to, but didn't just confine to those things.
Yeah. Different role. Something that not in the straight path that people always kind of equate to being a woman. Right. Where did the spark of rebellion come from? Is that something from an abuelita? Is it something from school? Where exactly did you get that?
Pues yo creo que como que nací
Well, I
con
think I
ese
was
chip.
born with that chip.
Mi personalidad
My
es
personality
muy
is
parecida a la de mi
very
papá.
similar to my father's.
Ujú. Y mi
There
papá
were times where
siempre decía,
he
o
would
en algún
always
momento
say,
decía, que si yo hubiera
If
sido hombre,
you would
¿no?
have been a man.
Siempre me
He always
pensaba en
related my
masculino
character
por
with a
mi
masculine
personalidad.
one because of my
Y yo le agradezco a Dios
personality.
que me hizo mujer.
And I am grateful to
Porque si
God
hubiera
that
sido
he
hombre,
made me a
sería un
woman.
desastre.
Because if I would have been a man, I would have been a disaster.
Y ser mujer me da como esa
Being a woman
sensibilidad
gives me the
que se
sensibility
requiere
that is required
para
to
entender al
understand
otro
another. And
y
the ability
para
to
como poner
put
las
things
cosas en
in
eje.
relevance,
Como
right? Like
la parte racional
the rationale
que
that
se
is
necesita.
required.
Y también
And
la
that
parte
part that
de
allows you to
saber
easily
conectar
connect with
con el otro,
someone.
¿no? Cuando esta rebeldía surgió,
This rebellion came,
pues yo creo que fue desde
muy
pequeña.
at a very young
yo
age.
recuerdo en la primaria
there was
que había un
there was a
compañero que me
classmate
decía,
that would tell me in school.
yo usaba pantalones,
Well,
era de las pocas niñas
I
que
wore
usaba
pants
pantalones.
when I
Y me
was
decía que yo era
a
una
young girl. I
marimacho.
was one of the few girls that wore pants.
Lesbiana o,
And he would
y
call
era
me a
un insulto, en
marimacho.
realidad.
Marimacho is like calling someone a
Pero a mí
lesbian.
nunca me importó lo que
And
decían,
it
¿no?
was really an
Y
insult, but I never cared what
después
people said.
siempre hacía como cosas
And then I
locas.
always
Tenía-
did
tenía
crazy
como
things.
13
I
años
was
y yo
about
quería cambiar de
13 and I
religión,
wanted
porque estaba en
to
desacuerdo.
change
Mi
my
familia es
religion.
católica,
Yo
estaba en
was in
desacuerdo y empecé a
disagreement.
buscar
My
otras
family
religiones
is
y fui a
Catholic and I
otros
was in
grupos
disagreement, so I
religiosos.
started
Dije, no,
searching
estos
other
tampoco me
religions.
gustan.
I went to other religious groups
Estudié en
and
una escuela
realized I didn't like
católica.
those either.
Pues estaba como
I was
todo
in
el
a
tiempo en
Catholic
desacuerdo
school,
con
so
cosas así.
I
Pero
always
siempre fue mi personalidad.
was in disagreement
Y
with
nunca me
everything
dejé
and
de nadie, o
challenged
sea,
every idea.
tenía como... Y mucha
And it was
gente que
always
me
my
ha conocido
personality. I
tienen la idea
never
de
let
que
anyone
si
shove
algo no
me
me gusta,
around.
soy capaz de golpear a alguien, ¿no? Si me agrede.
And a lot of people that know me would say that
Porque no me
even
dejan,
though
porque además
I like
en-
someone, I would
en
still
México
dare
es
to punch
como,
them
tienes que aprender a
if they
defenderte,
aggravated me.
¿no? El bullying no existía.
Because I don't let
el término
anyone
no
shove me
existía.
around. In Mexico, you really
Yo
have to
sí
learn
sé
how
qué
to
es el
defend
bullying
yourself.
porque
Bullying
viví
didn't
como
exist
me
back
hacían
then.
bullying en la
The term
escuela,
didn't
¿no?
exist. But
Entonces tuve que
I know
aprender a
exactly what
defenderme,
that means.
¿no?
Because I was a victim of it at
Soy lo
school.
que soy
So I had to
como
learn how
resultado
to
de mi
defend myself.
experiencia de vida.
I am what I am
Y
as a
para
result of
salir
my experiences in life.
de un
And
contexto en el que estaba,
to come
tenía
out
que
of that
ser-
context
en
in
verdad
which I
debía
was
ser muy
in, I
disciplinada.
really
No
had to
podía
discipline
distraer.
and
Estudiar me
couldn't
costó
distract
mucho
myself.
trabajo.
Studying was a lot of work for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. You know, there's a lot of things at play here because you have mezcal that is quite traditional, and we'll talk about some other assaults to that or threats to mezcal. But mezcal is very traditional. You have a very bold Western thinking woman, and you have these new ideas. Is it hard to bring those new ideas to mezcal, given it is such a traditional spirit?
Solo hay una respuesta.
There's only one
Se
response.
llama humildad.
It's called humility.
Fui a la escuela y aprendí cosas de la ciencia.
I went to school and learned
Pero
the science
eso no me
behind
hace
things,
saberlo
but
todo.
that doesn't mean I know it all.
Y fue muy importante.
It was very important
Y a mi
for my
regreso,
return. Now I'm
sin
saying
decirlo, porque
it,
en realidad
but
nunca me fui, pero
really I
digamos,
never left.
cuando ya me quedo dentro del negocio
But when I
de la
finally
familia,
came back to stay in my family's business,
quien
who
me
taught
enseña,
me,
quien me educa,
who
o quien me
educated me,
introduce es mi papá.
who introduced me was my father.
Y mi papá siempre que me veía,
And every
estaba yo
time
así,
he would see me like,
estaba muy
getting
molesta porque algo no
frustrated
salía.
because something wouldn't play
Siempre
out.
me decía que es
He would always
obligación
tell
del
me,
que estudia entender
it is
al
the
que no sabe.
obligation of the one who studies
Y
to
entonces yo tenía que
understand
respirar
the one who doesn't
profundamente
know.
para
And
no
then I
estar.
would have to take a deep breath to not explode.
Yo salí a estudiar para aprender cosas de
I went out to
ciencia,
study science, but
pero el
the
conocimiento
knowledge
de
of
la
the
tierra no lo
land
obtuve en la escuela,
I did not obtain at school,
ni el
nor the
conocimiento
understanding
de lo que es mi
of family
familia,
and
de lo que es la
tradition.
tradición. Eso
That
lo
I
obtuve
obtained
cuando me involucré.
when I got involved.
Todo lo que aprendí en la escuela
Everything
son
I learned in
herramientas
school are
que me sirven
tools
para
that allow
poderlo
me to
comunicar.
communicate the rest of it.
Yo me siento como un puente.
I feel like a
Yo
bridge.
solo soy un puente
I'm only a bridge
que conecta esa
that
cultura
connects the
de
culture
mi
and
familia, esa
my
tradición
family's traditions
con el mundo moderno.
with the modern world.
Yo solo
I
los
only
conecto.
connect things, that's
Yo no
all.
estoy haciendo
I
nada.
really don't do anything else.
Basically, the past meets the present meets the future. You're a gateway. It's an amazing thing. I think it's a good thing to understand, and that's maybe what education does for us. It allows us to find a better way to take everything we know and connect it all together. There's a big women's Me Too movement in the States. A lot of females are standing up for what they believe in and talking about things that have happened to them. And it's now a better time than ever for women to have a strong voice and to have strong women representing male-dominated categories, male-dominated industries. Do you feel as a woman that there is any particular type of mentorship or type of information that you want to share to inspire other women in this industry or other industries?
Sí, claro.
Of course.
Porque creo que es una de las
Because
industrias donde
I feel like it's one of
el
the industries in
machismo
which
o el abuso
the
va a ser
machismo
todavía más
or the
marcado.
abuse is even more engraved.
En mi experiencia, y para
My
eso me sirvió
experience,
estudiar.
And this is when my education comes into play.
Cuando alguien me
When someone would
cuestionaba
question
por qué
me
estaba estudiando nuevamente,
why I was studying again,
yo le decía
I would say,
que, no tenía por qué dar
well, I
explicaciones,
didn't
pero yo decía,
really need to explain myself, but I
para
would
que yo
I would say,
logre sobresalir,
in order for me to stand out,
necesito
I need to be better
estar más preparada
prepared
que un hombre.
than a man.
Porque ya sabía que iba a tener que trabajar más horas que un hombre.
I knew
sabía
that
que
I
iba a
would
tener
have to
más
work
responsabilidades
longer
que un hombre,
hours
sabía
than a
que muy
man.
probablemente
I
iba a
knew that I
ganar
would
menos
have
que
to
un
work
hombre.
harder than a man.
Pero
I knew
yo
that I would
no
have to
estaba en ese
that I would have
momento
more
lo que yo estaba-
responsibilities
por lo
than
que
a
estaba
man.
luchando era porque mi voz
I even knew that I would
escuchada
most likely
y mis
earn less than a
ideas
man.
fueran consideradas o tomadas en
But in that moment,
y para
what I
eso
was
necesito
fighting
estudiar.
for was my
Y
voice.
cada vez que abría la boca,
My voice to be heard.
al principio no me
And
escuchaban,
my ideas to
o me
be
escuchaban
considered
y después seguían en su
or taken
plática.
into consideration.
Y tuve que domesticar
And
mi
that's when my
carácter
education came into play.
para sin tener que
Because
gritar,
every time I opened my
los
mouth,
hombres se callaran
at first
me
they would listen to
escucharan
me
y
or they
tomaran
would
en cuenta
listen
lo que
to me
opino.
and continue on with their conversation.
Si yo tuviera algo que decirle a las otras que vienen,
And I had to
a las
domesticate
que
my
de alguna
character
manera yo estoy abriéndoles el
so that
camino,
without yelling,
porque a través
men
mío,
would become
como
silent
yo voy dejando como
and listen to
como
me
un rastro,
and take my ideas into
y
consideration.
otras podrían seguirlo
If I
si
could,
quieren.
if I could share anything with other women,
Y creo que
those who
lo
I am
primero que una
in a
mujer
sense, opening the
debe
path
mantener
for,
en su cabeza
I
presente
think that the first
es
thing
que lo
a
único
woman
que nos
needs
hace
to have
esclavas
present in her
es el
mind
miedo.
is that the only thing
Con
that
lo que,
makes us
contra lo que debemos
slaves
luchar es contra
is
el miedo.
fear. The one thing we need to
Si
fight
somos
is
prisioneras
fear.
del miedo,
If we are prisoners of fear,
perdidos.
we are lost.
no importa
No
quién
matter
esté a tu
who is
lado,
by
no
your
importa
side
si hay
or
quien te ayude.
if there
El
is
miedo
someone
te
there to
tiene
help you,
prisionero.
fear will
Entonces, el
keep you
miedo es lo que
prisoner
no te permite hablar y
and
lo
not
que no te
permit you to
permite
speak your
actuar.
mind or act.
Debemos estar muy
We need to
seguras
be
de que
confident
podemos
that we can and
y nunca permitir
never
que el
permit
miedo nos
fear to
domine.
dominate us.
En lo que sea que hagamos,
Whatever it is that we're
no
doing,
importa dónde
no
vayamos,
matter where we are
no
going,
importa cuán civilizado
no matter
sea el
how
lugar donde
civilized the
estés,
place might be,
siempre habrá una lucha
there will
de poder
always
entre
be a
hombres y
battle for
mujeres.
power between men and
Pero si
women.
nosotras creemos
But if we believe that
que
we
no podemos,
can't,
que nuestras ideas no valen o que nuestro esfuerzo no es bueno,
that our
o lo que
efforts are
sea,
not good
cuando
enough when
denigramos
we
nuestro
denigrate our
trabajo,
work,
no se puede.
we will not be able to
Y
succeed.
obviamente
And obviously,
me ha
I've had
tocado
my
pasar por
share of
situaciones muy
unpleasant moments,
desagradables, al igual que
unfortunately.
muchas mujeres,
And I've
desafortunadamente.
also experienced acts of
Y he pasado
violence
también
from symbolic
por situaciones de
to
violencia.
physical and
Desde la simbólica, la física, todas, ¿no? Y he podido mantener
and I've been
mi
able to
espíritu,
maintain my spirit
¿no? Esta
with
rebeldía,
this rebellious
parte
spirit
de
of
mi
mine
espíritu
that
me ha ayudado a mantenerme a flote,
keeps me afloat,
a superarla y poder
to
continuar
overcome and continue and
Y eso me ha hecho también ser más fuerte.
And give me strength.
Pero es muy importante
But it's very important for us women that work in areas where there's
más masculinos, o que hay
a dominance and male representation.
El olvidar que nunca vamos a dejar
to never forget that we will never stop being women.
Ser hombres.
And not try to be like men. Not try to act like them.
Porque justo lo que hace la diferencia es que somos.
It is that exactly that makes the better difference.
Y hacer lo contrario es negar
that we are women.
Entonces tampoco estamos
doing the contrary doesn't help the rest of us either.
Yeah. As a mother of two, I was raised by a single mom for a long time. I think that she was able to show me something that maybe being raised by a complete family you wouldn't learn the same way. Are there any lessons, or is there any kind of feeling of duty to make sure your son appreciates, respects, and helps women in the best ways possible?
Justo en eso estoy, pero ¿cómo lo he hecho?
Funny. I'm actually in the middle of that. I think
yo creo que
it depends a lot on the context.
En el mío,
in mine,
me he tenido que convertir un poco como
I've had to somewhat turn into a lioness.
¿no? Como mi instinto salvaje ha tenido que
my protective instincts have flourished in a way to mark my territory.
¿no? Y mi territorio es mi casa.
My territory being my home.
Me hace soberana.
Where I'm a sovereign.
Solo yo doy las reglas.
Because I'm the only one that applies rules there, and no one can judge or intervene in my ruling. It's my homeland.
Y Santiago, mi hijo.
Santiago,
se llama
my
Santiago.
son.
Elegí su nombre.
I chose his name thinking of something soft and sweet.
Y mi hija se llama Jimena.
And my daughter's name is Jimena because I wanted a strong woman.
Complemento.
I was looking for the contrast.
Santiago, que es el más pequeño.
Santiago is my youngest.
Ha sido un poco complicado explicar.
It's been a bit complicated to explain why his father is not there or why his father doesn't come to see him.
Después de haberme dado como muchos tumbos.
After a lot of stumbling.
Gracias a una prima.
Thanance to my cousin, I was able to react and understand that
que los niños no son tontos.
Kids are not stupid. You don't need to put things in a different way.
Y ellos lo entienden
All you need is to communicate things exactly how they are. And they understand perfectly. And you live a more tranquil life that way. Pues, Santiago is a very smart and sensible
muy inteligente y muy sensible. Pero también es un oso, ¿no?
Then again, he is like a big bear.
Y hoy día, digo,
nowadays,
mi papá,
after my father's passing,
ya no había ninguna figura paterna cercana.
It was a moment of embracing them and
ni cercana
becoming even closer to
Era
them.
como reestructurar la familia.
It was a priority.
¿no? Y fue el momento como de abrazarlos y de estar más cercana a ellos. Es una prioridad, ¿no? Es como podría ser la
I could be
más
the most successful and wealthy woman on earth, but if my kids are not happy, none of that would matter. The most important thing in my life is that they are happy and everything else falls behind. So it has been all about keeping a close relationship with my son. It's all about communicating and going out together. Santiago goes wherever I go. I tell him that he's my machetero. A machetero is your right-hand man out in the land, your assistant. And he fills in that role quite well. Santiago is my dancing partner when we go out to a party. He is my nurse when I am sick. And my daughter, she's in a different stage in her life, but she is well aware of everything that happens. And I think the balance here is finding the equilibrium of it all when you are well composed.
¿no? Mientras mi vida era caos, mis hijos eran un caos.
When my life was chaos,
Ahora
they
yo
were
estoy más
chaos.
tranquila y ellos también lo están.
But now that I am more tranquil, they are too.
Y aunque puedo ser un poco sonar muy loco,
And even if it sounds a bit crazy,
parte
one
de
of
lo
the
que hago
things
es
that I
cuando
do when
ya no sé qué hacer, cuando la
when
realidad me
life's
sobrepasa,
reality overwhelms me,
siempre al dormir platico con mi papá.
I
Y
talk to
siempre
my
le
father
pido
at night.
que me diga
And I
de
always
alguna
ask
manera
him
por
to
dónde tengo
somehow
que ir.
show me the path I need to take.
Y Y obviamente eso también me lleva
And obviously that too helps me
o a buscar una vida espiritual, ¿no? Como sea
take
que
on a
entienda.
more spiritual life.
Is he the future holder of the crown, I guess you could call it? Does the future of Real Minero lie in his hands, ultimately?
Eso no lo sé.
That I don't
Pero
know.
lo que sí sé es que no está obligado.
But what I do know is that
Ni él ni
he's not obligated.
va a ser quien
Neither
así lo
him nor
decida.
Jimena.
Porque como
It will be decided
dije
by
hace un
fate.
rato, no es una obligación.
Like I mentioned earlier,
Pero es
it
una
is not
gran
an obligation,
responsabilidad,
but it is a great
porque
responsibility.
no es
Because it's not
un
about the
tema de
title,
encargo, es el tema de lo
but what
que
it
implica
implies.
de todas las personas, de toda la vida de tantas personas que dependen de
All the
este
lives
proyecto.
that depend on this project.
En verdad no
In
podría
reality,
yo
I would
obligar a
never be
alguien a
able
que
to
siguiera
obligate
eso.
someone to take on
Y
these
ya lo experimenté
responsibilities,
y no
especially after living it.
tiene que ser
It has
en
to be
verdad
your mission in
tu
life.
elección y debería ser
It has
casi
to
tu
be your
misión en la
mission
vida
in life for you to
para que lo
enjoy
goces
without
y no lo
resulting in suffering.
Yeah, I think it's only honest to keep the spirit honest in that way. And that brings me to an interesting situation we have here in South by Southwest this week, where there is a mezcal brand that is claiming to be sustainable, claiming to be trustworthy, and claiming to be traditional. With these kinds of brands telling you that they are these things instead of showing you, does it make you question the future and the integrity of mezcal soon to come?
Una cosa es lo que yo quisiera que ocurriera y otra cosa
This
es
is
la
the real
realidad.
world.
Y no puedo evadir la
One thing
realidad.
is what I would like things to be like,
Como
and
no la
another
puedo
is the
evadir,
reality of
La
things.
debo entender.
And I can't evade reality, and since
Y
I can't
entiendo
evade it,
que
I need to
habemos
understand it.
quienes somos coherentes en lo que hacemos. Y entiendo que hay
And I
otros
understand that there are
que no
some of
tienen
us
de dónde
that are
agarrarse porque
passionate
no hay
in
una
what we
raíz.
do,
Y entonces
and that
crean
there are
una
others that don't have anywhere to
forman
hang
algo
on
que se
to
llama
because they don't
ideología.
have a root,
y lo
and
que
this
nosotros
results in
tenemos se
creating
llaman
speeches
valores.
and forming ideologies.
Eso está fuera
But
de
what
la
we have are
ideología.
values,
Yo no
and
promuevo
those are
ideología.
found outside of
Yo
ideology.
promuevo los valores con los que crecí, con los que me crearon.
I don't promote
y con
ideologies,
los
I promote
que
values.
siento que valen
Values that
vale
I
la
was
pena
raised
mi
with, and
existencia.
those that I feel are worthy of existence.
It's a good thing. I mean, some people, they're about trashing other brands, right? But really, it feels like your approach is to say, this is what I stand for and support me or not.
Y creo también que es una...
And I
he
also,
visto,
I've
me ha tocado
noticed
ver,
that
no es como
this is
una
somewhat of a
reacción muy de
masculine
varones,
way of
¿no?
reacting,
De querer
like
ganar,
the
de
need to
no
win
perder
and
frente al otro. Entonces
not
lo toman como
losing
una
and
afrenta.
making it into a
Y yo no me estoy
competition.
peleando con
But
nadie.
I'm not competing with anyone.
Sure. Machismo.
Pues no machismo, pero son muy territoriales.
Oh, territorial. Interesting. I mean, I think of it as like ego and people
Y bueno, ya hay
wanting to
egos,
assert that.
mucho ego.
Yeah.
Muy grande.
Well, give it. There's big. Oh, especially thinking of particular brands that do this and they posture themselves. Something that is a pillar of Real Minero is sustainability. And what does real sustainability look like?
Ese punto surge de nuestro.
That comes
nosotros
under,
tenemos 5
well,
valores
we
de
have
los que
5
nos dan.
values at Real
Y
Minero
uno de
under
ellos
which we guide
es la
ourselves.
responsabilidad social.
One of them being social
y
responsibility and the other being
Tú no puedes pensar
ecological
en cuidar las
responsibility.
plantas.
You can't think
piensas
of
también en cuidar
taking
al
care of
humano,
the plants without making
porque el
sure
hombre
you
solo
are
se
taking
vuelve
care of the
depredador
humans behind it.
Cuando carece de algo.
Because the man only becomes a predator when
Si
he
el hombre
lacks
tiene todo
something.
lo que requiere
And
para
if the
vivir,
man has everything
va
he
a
needs
depredar.
to live, he will never become a predator.
entonces, hoy día la
So
industria del
nowadays,
mezcal
the mezcal industry is
está
under
bajo
the
la mira de
investor's
los
eye.
inversionistas. Y el inversionista solo ve dinero.
And the investor only
El
sees money.
inversionista no entiende qué es una
The investor
comunidad,
doesn't
cómo se
understand
organiza,
that there is a
no le
community
interesa el
behind
medio
it,
ambiente, no le interesa
how
las
it's
plantas.
organized. He's not interested in the
Su-
environment and the plants.
Su forma de pensar es diferente.
Their way of thinking is
Es otra
different.
lógica.
It's another logic. But if we are wanting mezcal to continue existing over time, so the coming generations can taste and enjoy an arroqueño mezcal or a tobalá or a carwinski, we are needing to act now. So within this concept of sustainability, which is whole, it is the equilibrium between the used resources and the replacement of them.
Pero tiene que estar amarrado con un pago justo, un trato justo, mejores
But it has to be tied with a fair pay, a fair deal, better work conditions for the future of these families.
It won't keep going. Yeah. When you talk about sustainability, I know there's a big replanting initiative at Real Minero. So, for instance, the Arroqueño, which we're sipping, it's becoming a pretty rare agave. It's been overfarmed, basically. Is this an opportunity for Real Minero to plant these from seed, to plant these from hijuelas, and to bring this back?
Bueno, para eso justo dentro de Real Minero tenemos
Well, for this exactly we have the reproduction project.
Tenemos un vivero propio y tenemos un espacio donde contamos con las especies de agave que utilizamos para producir mezcal y esas plantas están destinadas básicamente para ser plantas madre.
We have our own nursery where we grow our own plants and they are basically destined to become mother plants. Plants that we let grow and once they reach their biological maturity, we let them seed.
Ahora, una vez que ya
Now,
tenemos esas semillas,
once we have those seeds, what we are trying to make sure of is that these species have that quality that we've selected, those that my family has selected generations ago, having a high percentage of germination. And when ready, we take them out to the land and nurture them until they are ready, until they reach maturity.
In 2017,
there were 28,000 agaves of 8 different species taken out to the land. So our goal for 2018 is to bring out at least 30,000 agaves, and this year we will be adding new species and varieties.
But
it's a process. On one side, we have the agaves that we already use to make mezcal, but we're also trying to reproduce agaves that have other uses in the community: mental, ritual, religious, medicinal. And finally, within that same nursery, we have agaves that were once used to make mezcal, but are now in danger of extinction. What we are doing here is bringing them in from the land and nurturing them for reproduction. And what we are trying to avoid here is that in X amount of time we will run out of resources. It's the concept of responsibility. It's part of the replacing movement because most produce what they use.
Porque la mayoría produce lo que usa. Pero el maguey es una cosa.
But the maguey is a very large concept, really. And I think we are starting to have more companies that are engaged and ideas are refined and we're beginning to see results. The industry will soon reach stability. It should reach stability, but we need more involved and take on that leap from discussing ideas to taking action.
Like equilibrium again, right? With the people and the place, which is a very important thing, is something that we forget about. We talk about agave getting overfarmed, but how do you find the people to chop it? How do you find the people to carry it? There's really a twofold kind of industry, so it's good to know you guys are really concerned about that. There are many amazing bottles of Real Minero, a lot of Veridad, I guess you could call it. And we're sipping the Arroqueño and soon the Tobalá. What do you want someone to feel or someone to taste when they open any one of these bottles anywhere in the world?
Justo lo que quiero, o sea, cuando me lo han preguntado,
what I really want, like when I'm asked or when I need to explain it,
tomar un trago de mezcal siempre debe ser una sorpresa.
I always say that for me, drinking mezcal should always be a surprise. I always look forward to being surprised, to find something new. I think life is like that too. If you always find and do the same things over and over again, it's plain and boring. I don't like that. I don't like that. I like colors and textures, and that's mezcal. Mezcal permits me to have that pleasant sensation, but it also connects me in finding something new and different. This is possible because every agave is unique. None of them are exactly the same. There are tiny variations of the time in which they were cultivated in, the region of which the plant comes from, or because of the amount of rain they received. Many factors, even your state of mind. So that's what I look for. Because if water has a different taste depending on where it's from, much more would a plant that depends on the land and humans surrounding it.
Of the many bottles and the many SKUs that there are, if you are looking to solve a problem, if you're looking to have an idea, what might be your favorite of the mezcals to inspire you?
My favorite is Largo. Yes, it's an agave Karwinski. I think the agave or mezcal that you most like is similar to your characteristics, right? It's like you. And that mezcal is very earthy. It has a lot of nodes of earth and wet soil. It's very frank. But more than anything, it's so distinctive. Like the instant that you smell it, you know it's a Largo.
It's muy franco.
Does it make you want to dance?
A mí me gusta bailar.
I love to dance.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that. Mezcal is special in a lot of ways, and it's one of the only spirits that makes you feel uplifted. That is one of the special qualities.
Sí, aunque no tiene, por lo menos
even though, well,
que tenga,
it has not been proven to have psychological effects.
Yo creo que genera estados
but I think it generates a different state of consciousness.
Con el vino no ocurre.
It doesn't happen with wine. It doesn't happen with beer. Never with others, but with mezcal.
Y es como, sobre todo para las personas que se dedican al arte, o
especially for the creative people.
Como que te hace muy sensible, como que te ayuda.
It helps in writing
a crear, a escribir. Yo creo que es justo como un buen acompañante para quien está todo el tiempo.
It's the best companion for creative minds.
It is. If only Hemingway had access to it. You know, he was always drinking rum, but I think mezcal would have given him this lightness to the writing that he did not have. So, the movie is premiered this week, and I've got just a few more questions for you before we probably sip another fine mezcal and then talk about life some more. The next screening or the next premiere of the movie is in Guadalajara this next week. It's going to potentially be everywhere soon. Is it good that mezcal is getting this kind of attention and is maybe coming to people's living rooms, if that makes sense?
Sí, me siento nerviosa, pero también me siento...
Can I say that I'm a little nervous?
Pues muy satisfecha.
Yes, I feel nervous.
But
I'm also very satisfied. Because the documentary looked into the people more than the process.
Y el mezcal es más que proceso.
And mezcal is more than the process.
Las ideas por las que todos
it's the people and the ideas that we wake up for every morning.
Por las que seguimos
it's the conditions of life, even at its worst.
Y me da mucho gusto que sea este documental y no una
and it makes me so proud that it's a high-quality film sending this message instead of nonsense that is not real.
Y bueno, aparte... Compartir
sharing credits with Carlos Camarena
a quien conozco y que es algo increíble porque Carlos es mucho mayor que yo.
Is incredible because Carlos is much older than I am, but
un pensamiento muy similar.
We have similar mentality.
Y para mí es como tener una buena guía.
And for me, he is like a mentor.
Si alguien como Carlos,
and if someone like Carlos thinks like I do,
es que puede ser que esté por el buen
camino. It means I just might be on the right path, that I'm not wrong.
Aunado a eso,
on another end,
temas que
these topics that the documentary touches, the situations that we are involved,
pregunta, casi siempre habla solo de lo
are almost always portrayed as beautiful. No one ever talks about the work you have to put in, the labor, the exhaustion.
Todo el mundo quiere ser la estrella.
Everyone wants to be a star.
Pero nunca quieren hablar de lo que les
but they don't want to talk about what it took to get there. This documentary talks about what we need to do and the hard work that is put in on a day-to-day basis. And I loved it. I really like the way they were able to coincide and integrate these three stories and were able to make you laugh and cry. And
y al final te quedas como, te hace reír, te hace llorar, te hace pensar, te hace viajar, ¿no?
Think and travel.
En esos minutos que dura el documental. Y eso es grandioso.
And it's amazing, especially for those who are not familiar with Mexico, because
porque lo puedes conocer desde abajo.
They can get a deeper look into it.
We'll take a fun question here. I mean, you talk about mezcal, which is a massive category, so much tradition. You have this movie, you're becoming a celebrity, which is cool. But let's just say you're sipping the tobala anywhere in the world, and you could have a drink and a conversation with anybody, living or deceased. Who might you like to have a conversation and a copita of mezcal with?
Te diría que con mi papá, pero él ya no tomaba. Entonces, si tuviera que elegir con alguien que sí toma.
Well, I would tell you my father, but he didn't drink those last few years. So
really,
yeah. Es otra historia, pero sí, mi papá tenía.
That's another story, but
cuando murió tenía 26 años de no tomar.
Yeah, but that's another story. But my dad, when he passed away, it was already 26 years that he had stopped drinking.
Oh, wow.
So if I could pick someone that can drink.
Entonces, imagínate cuánta voluntad tenía.
So yeah, you can imagine how much willpower he had.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Si pudiera sentarme con alguien a brindar por la película o a tomar.
If you're asking, are you asking if I could just share a drink with someone, or if I could be cheering because of the film, like celebrating the film?
Total personal. You're someone maybe in history, George Washington. Maybe someone you've never met that you really would like to
No, nada más, no necesariamente por la película, pero nada más compartiendo, o sea, un trago con alguien, o sea, cualquier persona. ¿Quién sería?
Híjole, tendría que ser un grupo. Sí, hay varias personas con las que me gustaría sentarme a tomar un trago.
Oh, it would, yeah, it can't. It's not one in particular. There's several people that I would like to sit down with.
Yeah.
Sí, o sea, con mis amigos más cercanos.
With my closest friends.
It's always fun. I mean, mezcal is the perfect conduit to conversation.
Claro, es la perfecta bebida para convivir con tus amigos.
Y sobre todo para hablar de cosas densas.
Especially to be talking about dense topics. Yeah,
yes.
Covering dense topics.
Cerebral, academic thinking, yeah. Well, the last question I was thinking about this, and you look at Carlos, who's a spokesman for tequila. He travels around a lot. He obviously works with Tomás Estes quite a bit. But for mezcal, there isn't necessarily a central spokesperson for mezcal. There's not a face to mezcal, if that makes sense. And you keep kind of getting more press, more attention. You're a center focal point of this film. If somehow you become the face of mezcal, is that going to be okay? Will you be able to take that torch and run with it?
Yo creo que eso ni siquiera, o sea, como en caso de que ocurriera, como que no te cuestionas.
Well, if that would happen,
No,
I don't think you would even question it, right? Because it's the perception that others have of you.
No es de si estoy de acuerdo, no estoy
It's
de
not really
acuerdo,
if I'm
si
on
quiero,
board
no quiero,
or not.
la gente
People will
te
either
identifica
identify
como
you
eso
as that or
o no
not.
te identifica.
But if the people deposit that expectation, it could become about maintaining yourself in the light. Maybe I could be an inspiration to many women out there. Maybe a light for their path. It's a big responsibility, and I insist it's something one does not search for.
Creo que en el caso de Carlos,
I mean, someone like Carlos, for example,
Carlos
he is
labrado un
well
nombre,
known
¿no? Su
not
nombre,
because
gracias a su
him,
trabajo, a
like
su
because
esfuerzo.
he's been out there searching
Y
the
eso no tiene
spotlight.
que ver
It's the
lo que
result
la
of
industria del
his
tequila haya hecho
product.
o no haya hecho.
It almost speaks for itself.
Carlos es quien es por su trabajo, por sus acciones.
So I
Porque hay una
think
coherencia en su persona.
it would be a
Y creo que al final del
great
día es eso, ¿no?
responsibility.
Lo poco que he conocido de Carlos, eso es lo que me parece. Y lo que puedo percibir de mí misma, de cómo los otros me ven a mí misma, pues es un poco así, ¿no? Quizás para algunos puedo ser como una inspiración para muchas mujeres.
There's a lot that comes with
una
it.
luz en el camino, hablando del mezcal.
And whether
no
people
sé.
whether women take it
Es
as
una gran
inspiration,
responsabilidad.
you know, there's
Insisto, ese tipo de cosas no es algo que estés buscando. Pero si la gente deposita esa confianza o esa esperanza, se convierte en algo que pesa en tu vida.
whether it's an inspiration and they choose me, and I end up, if that happens, I mean, it is a lot of responsibility.
Mantenerte en la...
Just like mezcal, you don't find mezcal, mezcal finds you.
algo así. Creo que estamos acostumbrados a pensar...
Something like that. I think we are used to thinking about the power recognition brings you.
Como en el poder que te da el reconocimiento. Pero habría que pensar...
But we should really be thinking of the obligation that recognition brings you.
Ante ese reconocimiento.
Well, it's been amazing getting to chat with you, Graciela and Claudia. Thank you so much for stepping in where I fell short as an interpreter. It's great sipping the mezcales with you, and I'm sure the movie's going to do quite well. So much to talk about, so much more about mezcal to be said, and thank you. Muchas gracias. So there's a good bit of the movie where Graciela is looking at some blueprints and kind of formulating this library to be built, or it's to already be built. But what this project, they don't touch on it too much in the movie, William. What exactly is kind of the impetus for this project? What does it represent? Who's it to support?
Yeah, so, when Graciela was a child, she and a couple friends, realized the community lacked a library, a space, where the kids could go and get a little bit better education.
Yeah.
She and her friends were going to become famous singers and raise all sorts of money to fund this library.
Right.
Graciela likes to joke that she and her friends discovered that, well, they weren't great singers, which I came to find out watching the movie was not necessarily the case.
Yeah, that's pretty good in the library. She's singing, right?
Yeah.
Which, the thing I really liked about that is that I hear this melody and I'm like, what's the underlying music sound like? Then all of a sudden the underlying music kind of comes in, which just proves she was on pitch.
Yeah.
Cold. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no. And so, it never really came to fruition. Core values of this, what they're doing at Real Minero is that, not only are they making mezcal, but they're also wanting to give back to the community.
Right.
And so 2013, they had a piece of land donated by Tino Barriga, where the library is. It's in, Minas is broken up into lots of little barrios or neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And this is in El Rosario, which is probably the poorest neighborhood in Minas.
Oh, wow.
With the highest density of kids.
Wow.
And so, they found this perfect piece of land. In the movie, you see them talking over the blueprints and talking about another piece of property that was kind of in the hills that would be hard to access, where this is kind of on the road that runs through the neighborhood, and all the children from the neighborhood would have to pass down to be able to get to the school.
Yeah.
So, in 2014, they started building the library. And, ¿cuántas mujeres habían? Yeah, so, in the movie, they touch about how Edgar liked to construct using Adobe.
Yeah.
So this library has been built using Adobe, but instead of using straw, they use spent fiber from Mezcal distillation.
Blocks of, yeah.
Yeah, and all the bricks were made by 8 women.
Wow.
So, the space is kind of coming together now. The first phase is done, which is going to be the library. We had some computers donated from Ernesto out in California and a few other folks that had raised some money. So the first phase is almost finished. We're starting to look at phase 2, which is going to be art.
Oh, man, arts. Are you kidding me?
So we're going to have music and painting. And I say we because... Yeah, because since I started importing Real Minero, most of the money that I've made from selling Real Minero has come back in the form of donations to the library.
Yeah,
it's something that when Graciela told me about this project, I was like, wow, how can I help? I really feel that oftentimes we always take away, but we never give back.
Right,
and she talks about the statistics of the number of children that actually make it out of elementary school to high school to college. Graciela is one of 2 people that actually have a doctorate degree from this community. And so the idea is to really foster education, pick up where the schools are lacking.
Sure.
The schools don't have computers that work. These do. We're still trying to work on an internet solution, but really to motivate these children to continue being educated with the hopes that they came back, like Graciela or Edgar, to continue participating and growing in this community.
Man, so when is this art wing supposed to conclude?
We haven't even started building.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
but the whole point is to build, because intelligence and academic pursuits are 2 things: it's left brain, right brain, right? So the books offer this analytical thing so that the kids can understand troubleshooting skills and they can build mathematics and science acumen, right? But you still have to have the art. You have to have CDs maybe that are there to check out, like back when I was a kid and checking stuff out the library. I mean, is that kind of one of the intents for that other wing, is to make sure that the arts are as represented as well?
Mira, él pregunta si en la segunda etapa, que son los artes, o sea, si han pensado a representarlos igual, o sea, como la biblioteca física, que hay discos donde pueden sacar los discos para escuchar diferentes tipos de música, o sea, clásico, rock and roll, lo que sea, para que sigan formándose en otras maneras.
Pues sí, en realidad está como abierto a todos los materiales didácticos, ¿no? Si vamos habrá, lo que sí es un hecho es que habrá instrumentos para que los niños aprendan a tocar algún instrumento, habrá maestros de danza o de teatro, y bueno, lo que dices no lo había pensado, pero sería muy buena idea.
Yeah, so, the idea is to have instruments that the kids can use, but teachers for theater, dance, and that, she's never contemplated the idea of having, music that they can hear different genres or styles, and she liked the idea.
Man, so, I got so many guitars. I will gladly donate at least 2 guitars.
Well, maybe you should just come down and play for the kids.
Oh, that's true. They might think I'm famous, too. That's cool, right?
You kind of look famous.
This facial hair doesn't grow on its own.
Exactly.
Actually, it does grow exactly on its own. Well, it's an amazing way to give back. We were talking earlier about the importance of education, but the thing is education is only built on access.
Yeah.
And if you don't have access, how will you ever even know? And this library concept, which gives back, it does so much more than that. It maybe lights a fire in these kids to be entrepreneurs. Maybe they will want to make mezcal too. Maybe they'll want to create a branding company. Who knows? The main thing though is you want to make sure, one of the intents of this library is to make sure that kids never see a ceiling, that they can keep moving forward and keep achieving, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, no, it's been really exciting and rewarding to have been able to participate in something like this.
Yeah.
Great vision on the part of theirs to do this,
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know if other people care or is concerned.
Right.
And I think that, Don Lorenzo's vision of wanting his kids to have a college education and giving them everything, but yet teaching them all the skills related to mezcal so that maybe one day they would come back and continue the family tradition, which, they've all done.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put it out there. I will bring some guitars and I will play some songs.
Cool.
That would be ultra cool. And I won't shave for a long time, so I look even more famous.
Awesome. Done deal.
But, once in a lifetime kind of thing, Graciela being in town and Claudia doing the translation, William, of course, you're bringing some of the greatest mezcales into this fine state of ours. So I can't wait to visit. I can't wait to help and jam out, man. Serious.
Awesome, man. We can't wait to have you down.
Lovely to hear about the library. And again, you can catch a glimpse of that in the Agave Spirit of a Nation. So, talk to the filmmakers. So we'll all cross-reference and all talk and do the links and stuff, but it's essential that you see the movie, and it's essential that you can also give back. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. It's always good.
It's good being back.
It's good being back. Wolfman. Jeff, there you go. Thanks, man. So there we have it, a nice little epilogue from William Scanlon III of Heavy Metal Importers, the gentleman who brings us all the fine taste of Recampero, Real Minero, and Uruapan Charanda. And there's so much more. There's Chocolo. There's so many things that William does, and I can't wait to see what he's bringing in next. But talking a little bit about Santa Catarina Minas, or Graciela, from a very interesting chat. This was over... we're just coming up on South by Southwest here in Austin here just probably next month, and this premiere was a few years ago. But just in 2 weeks, Judah Cooper of Vago, he's featured in the movie. There's actually going to be a screening of Agave, Spirit of a Nation here in Austin, but also Tomas Estes, affiliated with Carlos Camarena for Tequila Ocho, who just got recently acquired. So this never grows old. I apologize for taking so long to release this interview, but it's still as pertinent. And I feel mezcal, as it grows, it's really important to hear from the folks that are making it, the people that are at the horizon and out there socializing and traveling around. It's very, very important. So thanks, everybody, for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter how many episodes of The Office you have left after rewatching it for about the third time, or if you're thinking, man, I don't know what Graciela is up to next, but I cannot wait to taste it, please keep dancing.